Yoga by Swami Vivekananda. Chapter 7 Freedom. Continued. What is duty after all? It is really the impulsion of the flesh of our attachment, and when an attachment has become established, we call it duty. For instance, in countries where there is no marriage, there is no duty between husband and wife. When marriage comes, husband and wife live together on account of attachment, and that kind of living together becomes settled after generations. And when it becomes so settled, it becomes a duty. It is, so to say, a sort of chronic disease. When it is acute, we call it disease. When it is chronic, we call it nature. It is a disease. So when attachment becomes chronic, we baptize it with the high sounding name of duty. We strew flowers upon it, trumpets sound for it, sacred texts are said over it, and then the whole world fights, and men earnestly rob each other for this duty's sake. Duty is good to the extent that it checks brutality. The lowest kinds of men who cannot have any other ideal, it is of some good, but those who want to be karma yogis must throw this idea of duty overboard. There is no duty for you and me. Whatever you have to give to the world, do give by all means, not as a duty. Do not take any thought of that. Be not compelled. Why should you be compelled? Everything that you do under compulsion goes to build up attachment. Why should you have any duty? Resign everything unto God. In this tremendous fiery furnace where the fire of duty scorches everybody, drink this cup of nectar and be happy. We are all simply working out His will and have nothing to do with the rewards and punishments. If you want the reward, you must also have the punishment. The only way to get out of the punishment is to give up the reward. The only way of getting out of misery is by giving up the idea of happiness, because these two are linked to each other. On one side there is happiness, on the other side there is misery. On one side there is life, on the other there is death. The only way to go beyond death is to give up the love of life. Life and death are the same thing, looked at from different points. So the idea of happiness without misery, or of life without death, is very good for schoolboys and children. But the thinker sees that it is all a contradiction in terms and gives up both. Seek no praise, no reward for anything you do. No sooner do we perform a good action than we begin to desire credit for it. No sooner do we give money to some charity than we want to see our names blazoned in the papers. Misery must come as a result of such desires. The greatest men in the world have passed away unknown. The Buddhas and the Christs that we know are but second-rate heroes in comparison with the greatest men of whom the world knows nothing. Hundreds of these unknown heroes have lived in every country, working silently. Silently they live and silently they pass away, and in time their thoughts find expression in Buddhas or Christ, and it is these latter that become known to us. The highest men do not seek to get any name or fame from their knowledge. They live their ideas to the world. They put forth no claims for themselves and establish no schools or systems in the name. Their whole nature shrinks from such a thing. They are the pure sattvikas, who can never make any stir but only melt down in love. I have seen one such yogi who lives in a cave in India. He is one of the most wonderful men I have ever seen. He has so completely lost the sense of his own individuality that we may say that the man in him is completely gone, leaving behind only the all-comprehending sense of the divine. If an animal bites one of his arms, he is ready to give it his other arm also, and say that it is the Lord's will. Everything that comes to him is from the Lord. He does not show himself to men, and yet he is a magazine of love and of true nature and of true and sweet ideas. Next in order come with the men with more rajas, or activity combative natures, who takes up the ideas of the perfect ones and preach them to the world. The highest kind of men silently collect true and noble ideas, and others, the Buddhas and the Christs, go from place to place preaching them and working for them. In the life of Gautama Buddha, we notice him constantly saying that he is the 25th Buddha. The 24 before him are unknown to history, although the Buddha, unknown to history, must have built upon foundations learned by them. The highest men are calm, silent, and unknown. They are the men who really know the power of thought. They are sure that even if they go into a cave and close the door and simply think 5 true thoughts and then pass away, these 5 thoughts of theirs will live through eternity. Indeed, such thoughts will penetrate through the mountains, cross the oceans, and travel through the world. They will enter deep into human hearts and brains and raise up men and women who will give them practical expression in the workings of human life. These Sattvika men are too near the Lord to be active and to fight, to be working, struggling, preaching, and doing good. As they say here on earth to humanity, the active workers have a good, have still a little remnant of ignorance left in them. When our nature has yet some impurities left in it, then alone can we work. It is in the nature of work we to be impelled ordinarily by motive and by attachment. In the presence of an ever-practiced providence who knows even the sparrows fall, how can man attach any importance to his own work? Will it not be a blasphemy to do so when we know that he is taking care of the minutest things in the world? We have only to stand in awe and reverence before him, saying, Thy will be done. The highest men cannot work, for in them there is no attachment. Whose whole soul is gone into the self, those whose desires are confined in the self, who have become ever associated with the self, for them there is no work. Such are indeed the highest of mankind. But apart from them, everyone else has to work. In so working, we should never think that we can help on even the least thing in this universe. We cannot. We only help ourselves in this gymnasium of the world. This is the proper attitude of work. If we work in this way, if we always remember that a present opportunity to work, this is a privilege which have been given to us, we shall never be attached to anything. Millions like you and me think that we are great people in the world, but we all die, and in 5 minutes the world forgets us. But in the life of God is infinite. Who can live a moment, breathe a moment. If this all powerful one does not will it, who is the ever active providence, all power is his and within his command. Through his command, the winds blow, the sun shines, the earth lives, and death stalks upon the earth. He is the all in all, he is all and in all. We can only worship him, give up all fruits of work, do good for his own sake. Then alone will become perfect non-attachment. The bonds of the heart will thus break, and we shall reap perfect freedom. The freedom is indeed the goal of Karma Yoga.